The Zathan delegation stood in uncomfortable silence aboard the human research station, their crystalline exoskeletons clicking nervously. Ambassador Krells held the containment unit close to his thorax. Inside, a dying creature barely moved, visible through frosted glass. "We apologize for this inadequate gift," Krell's translator crackled. "Ravier was once the pride of our hunting reserves. Now he is nothing but a burden we cannot bear." Clara Wyn, a young xenobiologist barely 2 years out of academy, stared at the ambassador with confusion. She had expected a diplomatic meeting, not this. Through the containment unit's window, she could see something large and feline, its breath shallow, ragged. "I don't understand," Clara said softly. "Why bring him here if he's dying?" The ambassador's mandibles clicked, the translator interpreting it as shame. "Our medical technology cannot save him. The rhoticness has consumed his internal organs. We thought perhaps you would dispose of him mercifully. We cannot. He has served our people for 3 generations." Clara's chest tightened. The Zathan were among the most advanced species in the galaxy, their bioengineering far beyond humanity's. If they couldn't save him, what chance did she have? Yet as she looked at the dying animal, something stirred in her chest. A peculiarly human impulse, one that had driven her species to domesticate wolves, nurse wounded birds, and bottle feed orphaned wildlife. "Let me try," she said, almost without thinking. The Zathan exchanged glances, compound eyes glittering with what might have been pity, then departed without another word. When Clara opened the unit in her private lab, the truth hit her. The creature was beyond anything she'd ever seen. Ravier was massive, nearly 3 meters long, with midnight black fur striped by flickering bioluminescent patterns. 6 legs were tucked beneath him, double rows of teeth visible through cracked, bleeding lips, the stench of infection thick in the air. "Oh, you poor thing," Clara whispered, fighting back tears. She spent the first 72 hours simply stabilizing him. The Zathan medical data was useless. Their treatments were designed for exoskeletal beings, not carbon-based predators. Clara worked from first principles, analyzing Ravier's blood, mapping his physiology, running every scan her limited equipment allowed. The rhoticness had indeed devastated his digestive system, leaving organs barely functional. But she noticed something the Zathan had missed. The disease wasn't viral or bacterial. It was environmental. A slow poisoning from the synthetic atmosphere the Zathan maintained. Humans had faced similar challenges for centuries. Ever since leaving Earth, they had adapted, finding solutions in the most unexpected places. Clara began a treatment protocol that would have seemed primitive to the Zathan. She adjusted Ravier's atmosphere to match Earth's, supplemented his fluids with organic compounds, and fed him through a gastric tube with nutrients she synthesized herself. She slept in the lab, monitoring his vitals every few hours, speaking softly, a soothing presence in the sterile room. She cleaned wounds, cooled fevers, held his massive paw through convulsions of pain. "You're going to make it," she whispered on the 6th night, unsure who she was convincing, him or herself. On the 7th day, Ravier opened his eyes. Amber and gold, pupils vertical, focusing on Clara with startling intelligence. His bioluminescent stripes pulsed once, twice, then settled into a steady glow. Clara laughed through tears. "Welcome back." Recovery was slow but steady. Within 3 weeks, Ravier could stand. Within 6, he could walk. Clara modified her lab to accommodate him, creating an environment blending his biological needs with Earth-compatible conditions. She learned his body language, vocalizations, and the ways his stripes shifted with his moods. 60 days later, the Zathan returned, expecting a corpse. Instead, they found Ravier lounging beside Clara's workstation, coat glossy, eyes bright with contentment. When she scratched behind his auditory ridges, he purred, a deep, floor-shaking rumble. Ambassador Krell stood frozen. "Impossible," the translator stammered. "We tried everything, our best scientists, our most advanced treatments." Clara looked up from her datapad, hand resting on Ravier's massive head. "You tried Zon solutions for a Zon problem. But Ravier isn't Zon. He's a living being with his own biology, his own needs. You just needed to see him for what he was, not what you wanted him to be." The ambassador's antenna drooped. "How did you succeed where we failed?" Clara smiled, the smile of someone who understood something fundamental about her species. "Humans," she said softly, "are really good at adopting things that don't belong to us and making them thrive. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Ravier's stripes pulsed in a complex rhythm, brushing against her mind. A bond the Zathan had never achieved in 3 generations. "Thank you for the gift," Clara said gently. "But he was never yours to give away. He's his own being. If he chooses to stay with me, that's his choice." Ravier's purr deepened, pressing his massive head against Clara's side. The choice was clear. The Zathan left, confused and humbled. Word spread across the galaxy. Humans saved the unsavable, refusing defeat where superior species surrendered. Other races began bringing their lost causes to human stations, the dying, the impossible problems. And humans, being human, took them all in. Clara Wyn never sought fame. She simply did what felt right. Surrounded by creatures from a dozen worlds thriving under her care, she understood something profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or weapons. It was their stubborn, irrational, beautiful refusal to give up on those who needed them most. Ravier's stripes glowed brightly, a beacon of hope in the darkness of space, and Clara smiled. Some gifts, she realized, were never meant to be given. They were meant to be earned. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.